Good evening. I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight. Laguna Madre Water District notice of a regular meeting Board of Directors. Notice is hereby given of a regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the District to be held at 105 Port Road, Port Isabel, Texas, on the 30th of July, 2014, at the hour of 6 p.m. for consideration of the business of the agenda below. This notice is posted at the office of the District on July 24th, 2014, at 1:45 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551-041, 551-050, and a copy furnished to the County Clerk at Cameron County, Texas. We do have the presence of a quorum. All the board members are currently present. Let me please have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, invitation to the audience for discussion. At this time, we don't have an audience, but staff or board, would anyone like to discuss anything in open session? There's nothing at this time. Thank you. Moving to item number 4, consider and approve the minutes for the regular meeting of July 16th, 2014, and the workshop meeting of July 19th, 2014. The minutes have been enclosed in everyone's packets board. Has everyone had a chance to read them? Are there any questions or changes to be made?
Move to approve.
Motion for approval by Mr. Garcia.
Second.
Second by Mr. Thomas. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. None opposed. Thank you. Motion carries. Item 5, consider and approve new water and wastewater rate increase schedule. This is...
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this water and sewer charges that you have in front of you, I'm not here at that page. It looks pretty reasonable, and we've been looking at it. The only thing is that we did have a workshop prior to this rate study here, or increase, and then you can see there that it's a 20% increase, 30% increase, and 40% increase, and from 1-inch meters all the way to 8-inch meters. Anything above 6 inches is same rate. So 6 and 8 and 10s are similar. And it does have the water and the sewer in there. On this one here, I know that it is a one-time increase. You know, if the board decides to go 20, 30, or 40%, and it's up to y'all. But I know that y'all had requested also on the next item that y'all requested the information from Ben Jackson, and I did put on both number 6, the two consultants that have given me a proposal. So just keep in mind that also. But this one here is it kind of, you know, if we go with this route here, in cutting some cost to the consultants, you know, we would have some extra funding, and of course this is like a one-time increment, and I've been reading on some of the previous rate studies that have been done since 1991. About every 5 years thereafter, we've done a rate study, and the last one we did was in 2009. So also we have to keep in mind that the rate study that have been done before prior to this have you know, small increments. And again, at the workshop, we decided to look into the 1-inch and above meters. So keep that in mind. And this, did you all get this one here? It's in there, right?
Is that the one in the packet?
Right, it's in the packet.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I asked that, you know, I put this together. I'm sorry I missed the workshop for it. I think Scott and I have probably been through 2 rate studies already since we've been on the board. Rudy's probably been through more than that.
Right.
And I was surprised that, you know, Mr. Thomas brought up the fact that when you can factor in the number of units on some of these bigger meters, they're not paying anywhere close to what an average homeowner is paying. And I think this would help equalize that a little bit as a one-time shot. You know, I don't want to be spending another $20,000-$25,000 for another rate study, because those two previous rate studies that Mr. Friedman and Scott and I sat in on, the consultants, they didn't even bring that up to us. That these bigger meters are not even paying close to what an average homeowner would pay as far as their minimum rate. And I think this would help equalize it. This is my opinion. And if we want to do another rate study, I think we should adopt this first, and then maybe the next fiscal year, maybe budget in a rate study and see what they say.
Mr. Chairman?
It's my opinion.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we adopt these things under the 40% increase.
There's been a motion made. What motion made by Mr. Thomas?
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion, yeah.
Got a motion and a second. Okay, under the question?
No, we're under discussion now.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I applaud you guys, you know, for bringing this to the board. The way I see this, I'm not saying no to it or anything like that, but I'm seeing this as a beginning. What seems to me is a beginning of perhaps administrative and board rate study on this thing, because we did have a workshop, and then these numbers are brought here to us tonight outside of the focus of the board as a whole. And I think we need to look at these things. If we're going to go with either 20%, 30%, or 40%, fine, and if we can avoid having to pay $20,000+ for consultants that specialize in rate studies, I'm all for that. You see, but I would like to take some more time to review all these things. I would like to know, for the 1-inch meters, you know, there's over 1,000 accounts, and then 500+ accounts for 2-inch, and so on and so on. I would like to know who these entities are, or individuals, or buildings, or whatever the case, businesses. And
Well, what you've got here, if I put these numbers together.
okay.
Wow. I'll tell you who they are. First, let's just start out, and let's take number 8. Number 8 has a 4-inch meter. They got $542 as their minimum. They get 101,000 gallons.
We don't have anything in the packet.
I don't have that information.
You don't have one of these?
No, that I don't have.
No, this one was brought later after the packet was out, so.
The reason I intentionally, you got one, Robert?
No.
Jeff?
No, go ahead. Keep that one.
Let's just say it starts all the way down at, from Gulf View to Park Shore. Okay? These are where our bigger meters are. And we can cross the road, go over to Sunset in that area. We got a 4-inch meter, number 8, $542 minimum monthly charge, but they get 101,000 gallons on top of that. That is a good deal. Now they've got 40 units there. That equals $3.55 per unit. If we go to the 40% increase, that's only $18.97. Where actually the individual people, the houses, the cottages are still paying more with a 5/8 meter. Number 7, this is kind of a tough one, because it's really disproportionate. If you look at the 90 units, they're only paying $602, right? And they're only going to pay $8.43. But here's the kicker. This guy with the 90 units, they're little bitty, they're motel units. So you'd have to multiply about 2.5 to go to number 8. And I'm going to give you the names of the units where they're at. Number 8, is Park Shore. Okay, they're all 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 3-bedroom, 3-bath. Okay. Number 7 is Padre South. I was wondering, are we gonna be disproportionate toward the hotels? But they're only paying $843 a month. But if you figure usage, you've got to figure about 2.5 times that to equal a Park Shore unit with 3-bedroom, 3-bath for the number of occupants you can put in it. And the 201 units is the same thing. That's the Sheridan, which are little, okay. Now we'll go down to number 5. That's the Queens condominiums, okay? And they've never gone over their 184, well, they didn't. Well, somebody I know managed the place. And they're paying $1542. That's the worst case scenario. They're gonna go up to $21.59 per unit, which is what, call it $3 difference, $2.50. They're still up. All these guys are still under. Now, with this 156 units, that's a pretty tough one. But again, that's where Gulf View 1 and 2. And again, we've got 1-bedroom, 1-bath units almost all the way through. So if you go 2.5 times that, you're getting up to the $21 again. This number 3, that 4-inch meter, is Edgewater, okay? And again, you can see it's bringing their rate per unit up to $21, and they get 101,000 gallons. Again, here's a 6-inch unit, that's Summit. Okay, they're at 21. The 2-inch meter here on the 32 units is the Castaways. And they don't have a pump system, and they really squall and squeak in the summertime when it's real busy because they don't have enough water pressure upstairs. What I've tried to do, and I've gone across, I've got a Sunset its bill would go up to $16.19 per unit. The fun thing, I had a friend of mine who lived at Sunset, and he sold his condo. And him and 5 guys went out, and they created a homeowners association, and they bought the end of a little block, and they put 5 houses in there, and they all put 5/8 meters. And I called him and I told him, I says, do you realize you're paying $12.68 more to your homeowners association than you were paying at Sunset? He just laughed, you know. The dollar amount's not done. I have run this by management firms, and when you show them the numbers and they sit down, first they want to squawk, but when you sit down and show it to them, and it doesn't make any difference. You can say a condominium, well, that's different. No, it's not, because I can sell my house tomorrow and go buy a place at Park Shore, and it's my house. I can live there full time. I can rent it out. I can live there part time. That's a personal preference to someone. There's people on the island that build duplexes. Put a 1-inch meter in on the duplex. They rent one side out, they live in the other side. Are they going to get 100% occupancy? No, nobody's going to get 100% occupancy. So the cottages are taking the burden because the cottages are all the 5/8 and 1-inch meters.
Gentlemen, also, Carlos also gave me Rockport Fulton, he gave me Corpus Christi, he gave me East Rio Hondo, he gave me the Galveston, he gave me the water and wastewater rates for most of those. And I kind of roughly figured Rockport Fulton and Corpus Christi compared to what our minimums would be, because their minimums are 2,000. So, like on a 1-inch meter, for Rockport Fulton, they're to do, was it 6,000 gallons? I think our minimum is on that.
On a 1-inch meter, 6,000
On a 1-inch meter,
gallons.
Our LMWDs.
Yeah. So we can, that's why I want to compare it apples and apples. Rockport Fulton's bill would be $68.60. If we go 40%, our bill's only going to be $44.90. We're still going to be well under that.
Yeah.
Okay? You go to Corpus Christi, their bill on a 1-inch meter would be $84.19 if we go apple to apples. Okay? Still well under, we'd still be well under that $44.90. On a 2-inch meter, Rockport Fulton, their bills are, and that's based on 26,000 gallons. If if they consume 26. I think theirs is still a 2,000 minimum. 2-inch meter, $312.60 for Rockport Fulton. Corpus Christi, $359.21. Then you go to a 4-inch meter, Rockport Fulton's bill on 101,000 gallons, $1,183. Corpus Christi, $1,714.
Uh-huh.
So if we adopt this 40%, we're still well under what these other coastal communities are doing. And we'll be putting about $970-something thousand extra into our annual operating budget. And we got a lot of stuff needs to get done.
Okay, and we may do that, you see, but because we've been discussing rate increases because we haven't had one in years. And if we need to raise the rates just because we need to raise them, okay, but what is the shortfall because of the current rates that we have now? I would like to know that.
Shortfall where? Money-wise?
On the
Rudy,
revenue over expenses because
Rudy, we get financial statements every month, and it shows the shortfall.
Well, this is why I'm saying, Jeff, because they're saying, okay, this is a shortfall and this is the revenue. All right, let's find out where this 40%, 30 or 20%, how are we going to divide this thing? How much is going to go into capital improvements and what capital improvements? How much is going to go into the debt service? How much is going to go into
Well,
reserves?
I'd like to see 75% of it go into the capital improvements,
Well,
but didn't you say we had to do that?
That would have to be in a form of
under
a resolution
form of
once
a resolution.
once we do
Correct.
an increase.
Yeah,
That was-
because this is a non-for-profit organization, and
That's
we
correct.
do have to abide by also the arbitrage rules and regulations, you see. So, I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think this is the beginning of a rate study that this board as a whole, with management, along with administration, along with the managers in the water plants and wastewater plants, that we need to come together, and then we're going to have some questions from the finance department as well as the engineer. We have numerous experts that work for the company, you see, and I don't have anything against this thing. Like I said, I applaud you guys for working on this thing.
Victor.
But, hold on, Dwight.
Hold on.
But I think we need to study it as an organization, and that we have to have 1 or 2 or 3, meetings, additional meetings or workshops or whatever. Well, let's go ahead and do that, because we need to have justification. We have to have documentation, because people are going to come to me. I know individuals on the island that live in condos that pay, the condo's worth $500,000 or $750,000, and they pay taxes on that amount, as opposed to someone in Port Isabel or Laguna Heights that pays taxes on a $60,000 property. So they're saying, I'm being taxed on the value of my property, so I pay more taxes than another individual.
Rudy, that's apples and oranges. We're not talking about
No, it's not.
taxes.
No,
We're
but
talking about water rates.
I'm saying that's what they're going to come to us with. They're going to say,
They
I
need
pay.
to go to the equalization board and
No, they
San
pay
Benito.
taxes, to the district on that amount, so they're gonna say, and then you're gonna increase my rates on top of that?
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying that I'm opposed to increasing the rates. I'm saying, okay, but let's do a thorough study ourselves. If we're not gonna utilize a consultant, fine. I'd rather not pay any money to a consultant. If we can do this here amongst us, well, then let's go ahead and do it, and let's look at it.
Rudy, I still don't understand what you mean by a further in-house study. My job as a director is to watch the money, I watch the financial statements every month when they come through. I know how much we're going to be short. So I don't think some of the people on the board are watching the money like they should be. And so,
I don't know about that. That's your opinion.
So I think we need to get this going with the rate studies, because we're going to be behind the 8 ball again. Once the new fiscal year starts, we're still going to be behind the 8 ball. We're not going to be making the money because we're not selling the water.
Can I make my statement? Can I tie in the next item on the agenda with this conversation? And I, first of all, this is a very important subject matter, water rates. In other words, this is a business. Cost of operations are constantly changing, so we have to have it monitored. Mr. Thomas has brought up a very good point about how this works. You brought up an excellent point about the taxation differences, evaluations of property. I really think maybe we are reacting really fast on this and need a little
Taxation is
more.
on the value of your property.
That is correct.
If I've got, living in an
Can I
outhouse
finish making a
out
comment?
there, go ahead.
I do think that a $28,000 study compared to up to a $900,000 increase on the bottom line, I don't think is out of line. And I think you're able, obviously you can look at the numbers of water districts throughout the United States that this analysis, or this analyst will bring forward. And I think you can give him some of these directions, this type with the size of the water lines, consumption issues. I think there are a lot of variables that you can get and get a third-party, unbiased information and provide it to the water district without all of us trying to figure out which angle to make it work. That's my statement.
Scott, this is unbiased information. These are strictly numbers.
I
didn't inflate them.
No one
deflate them.
is accusing it. This is very good, but I think you need to look at all of this, and in my opinion, for $28,000.
Then we can start looking at the possibility of changing the gallons. We can change the gallons. We can do anything we want with it. But at least this gets us down the road to raising some revenues that we need.
And I think just throwing a dart at the target, I don't think is a fair way to just come up with the numbers. We all understand.
This is not a dart. I did a whole lot more.
I understand, but there are, I think, all the other issues that you need to look at, such as where do you want to allocate the additional increase of revenue? And
that's why we still have time. We make these effective the next fiscal
year. Going into the infrastructure.
Make them effective the next
Victor could use a lot of money to fix a lot of stuff, I'll bet.
Mr. Thomas.
Am I right or wrong?
Mr. Thomas.
Yes, sir.
We'll do this in a resolution form to show where this extra funds are gonna go. I mean, they presented at the workshop, you guys presented at the workshop, which I wasn't there, but you had a long list of projects that need to be done. Up to $5 million worth of stuff. They got clarifiers that are bad, you got some pumps and motors and blowers. Oh my gosh.
We got stuff we need to fix.
And if we wait again for another rate study, we're gonna still be behind the 8 ball, and we're gonna be short again on money.
Well, this thing, what, if we do it through a rate study, or this way, or an in-house rate study, or an outside rate study, these things I don't think we can put them into effect, or I'd rather not put them into effect until until 2015, you know, or.
This can go into effect the first of the fiscal year.
We need it the next fiscal year. We need to.
That's what I'm saying.
Am I right, Mr. Gomez?
We're all in agreement on rate changes. That we're all in agreement on, okay? The next question is, how are we going to get there, and who's going to make the decisions? Because there's several ways to get there.
We're making decisions, 5 of us.
No, I know that, but we're all
decisions.
trying to make this decision responsibly. And we all do agree, at least I think, have the direction that rates do need to be looked at, evaluated, and possibly adjusted.
I got a question. On the rates on raw water and irrigation meters, how's that gonna?
There's no change.
No change on raw water and
No, we can do that in another workshop. This is just get some revenue coming in now that we really need.
Well, we go back to Mr. Garcia's point, is like, if we don't need to raise the rates and we don't need to hurt somebody, we don't do it. Correct? If we don't need to raise the rates on 5/8 meters, or we don't need to raise, because we only need a certain amount of money to meet our obligation.
I don't know that we need to raise the rates, and perhaps we do. How much? I don't know yet. I didn't see here, you know, the 5/8. The 5/8 was left out of this thing. So that's what I'm saying. You know, people that don't have 5/8. So why am I getting?
You've got a 5/8 at your house.
Because your minimum bill is $24.85. That's what we were just talking about. The minimum bill is $24.85. These other meters aren't even meeting the $24.85 on an individual basis.
Even with the 40% increase.
Even with a 40% increase.
Precisely. But when they come and say, how come you didn't raise it on the 5/8 people? You know, why just us?
Because we're equalizing the
Because
rate.
it's been so disproportionate since the
and
last rate study.
And that's why I would rather have a thorough study, either in-house or or by an external consultant, but I want this thing to be done properly and have all the documentation and have, you know, everything on there,
Magdalena.
you know, concrete but just to go like this here tonight, no.
Mr. Magdalene, is there anything illegal about what we're going to do here if we pass this?
No.
Thank you.
That's an in-house rate study, and you have a raise rate how you see fit with the board. Through the rate
You have a
study,
motion and a
you
second
go
on the board. Can we just go first vote, Scott, or we can argue all night?
Call for the question.
There's been a motion made by Mr. Thomas. Is there a second?
I've already seconded.
There's a second by Mr. Keplinger. Are there any opposed for the record?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia is opposed.
I'd like to abstain, because I got some questions that weren't answered.
Mr. Vell would like to abstain, and for the record, I'm also opposed.
So we're deadlocked. Okay.
We're moving on
Yes,
to item
order.
number 6. Consider and approve in hiring a consultant group to provide a comprehensive water and wastewater utility financial rate study to Laguna Madre Water District.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, again, this was requested at the workshop, and I, talked to Mr. Dan Jackson on it, and he had done previous rate studies for the water district. He did one in 1991, and then, 1994, 1999, and then, 2005. So as you can see that every 5 years, more or less, there's a rate study done. And the last one that we had was 2009, and now we're in 2014, so, you know, there's just, there, that every 5 years, more or less, there's a rate study done by a consultant. So, on this one here, he does mention several things, and, it does include, detailed analysis and comparison of districts' current and proposed water wastewater rates, to the state average as well as the surrounding communities, and then, using current budget, volume of, capital, improvements, projects, data, and of course, a lot of the information we already have available. You know, we provided it on the workshop. And then again, we prepared a comprehensive, 10-year water and wastewater cost and service forecast model, which is done in increments, like I mentioned earlier. It's not a one whole 30% or 40%. And there's some other factors that are involved in this study. And again, I brought it to the board because it was requested by the board at the workshop. And he does mention public meetings with the board and also with the public, you know, just taxpayers, questions that they might have, they can answer all that. And
What, did he give you a time frame, how fast they could get how fast, if you initiated this, and what the end result would be on this? That was not mentioned anywhere in here.
I didn't ask him, but I believe like 3 to 4 months period. And it also tells you the cost for the not to exceed, you know, did you all get to see all that, the cost for?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it. But there was another
See, the
firm
other one
that-
was the previous, rate study that was done by, CAPEX, Mr. Jeff Snowden. And he had, given me that one prior to.
That's what did the
I
previous
think I had
2009.
given it to the board previously on another board meeting, so y'all could see the cost on that one. And, that was, a little bit higher than, projections.
I personally believe that this can third-party answer, solve, and answer all of our questions in the best interest of everyone for the district. That's my personal opinion.
Is there a recommendation from the,
Yes, during the workshop, it was mentioned, you know, to bring this information in, and we go to the board, we want to see what I have 2, consultants, and actually I got the third one today, but that one was way up high. And, you know, Mr. Dan Jackson is 26,000, and, Capex was about 28.5.
$28.
28, right.
What do you recommend?
Well, I would recommend Dan Jackson. He's known the district for previously since 1991.
And the last rate study he did was 2005 for the district.
Yeah, 2005, correct.
And
Capex.
2009 was CAPEX.
I move that we go ahead and go with economist.com
Correct.
for the rate study.
It's been a motion made by Mr. Garcia.
I have a question first.
Yes.
Do we have this in the budget anywhere?
This-
We don't have it budgeted, do we?
Not particularly for this.
No. Okay.
Right.
Just checking.
Where would you get it from, Carter?
Well, that's-
We could have got it, but right there.
Right now, we have to go back and look at the expenses and see where, there is any money available. Because we are running short, this year compared to last year.
I love it.
I'd have to go back and look at the expenses. See where-
You're gonna get the money back. I mean, the money's coming back to the district, so that if there's a final approved rate increase, the money will come back.
So he's gonna give us back 26,000 after he does the study?
What?
It's not coming back.
How does it come back?
Yeah, that's what I was
It'll
wondering.
come back in
How would
rates.
it come back?
We could have used that money to get him to do a whole big deal out of it. Never mind.
That's all right.
Your opinion of one opinion and another opinion. We're all trying to get to the same destination.
I have a problem wondering about that sometimes. But anyway.
Let's call for the question.
There's been a motion made by Mr. Garcia for recommendation of economist.com to be selected.
Second.
There's a second made by Mr. Vella. Are there any opposed?
One opposed.
I'm opposed also.
Thomas opposes and Mr. Keplinger opposes.
Y'all just approved $26,000 that's not in the budget.
For the record, I am in favor of it.
It's crazy.
We are moving on to item number 7. Consider an award bid for telephone auto dialer system for the wastewater lift stations.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this, we went out for bids on the, telephone, automatic dialers, for the lift stations. At this time we had, Antics Incorporated, it's gonna be 9 auto dialers, that we're purchasing. And, Antics Incorporated came in at $10,170, which was the lowest bid that we got. And, we did check their credentials, and we did check the systems out, and they are compatible to what we have. And, at this time, we would like for, the board to approve the Antics Incorporated as the bid winner.
Question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Is that in the budget?
Yes, yes.
Do we have money for this?
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
sir.
I got a question, on those other dollars, what's the NEMA? What's the NEMA? What are
The NEMA?
Are they communicating with telephones or cell phones or
It's a
computers?
4X, it's a 4X enclosure. 4X enclosure.
4X enclosure,
Yes.
that's the best, yeah. And are they communicating with what? Telephones?
No, it's gonna be, wireless.
I know, wireless. maybe.
Through the VoIP system.
Oh, through the voice system?
Yeah, the internet. The internet.
Oh, the internet.
Through
Okay,
phone.
how is it
Phone.
gonna work like in Saturdays and Sundays when you don't have an internet in the office?
The
Where is
internet's
it gonna-
continuously running.
Oh,
The internet is continuous.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
continuous.
but who's gonna be watching it?
No, that's gonna go,
How is it gonna dial, who's it gonna dial, or
we're,
who's it gonna
yeah,
communicate?
we're gonna
with?
program that to dial to the lift station manager, to the water plant, telephone, the way these other ones that we have, the RACO ones that we have, do the
The
same thing
regular
right now.
ones used to be dialing to the water plant.
Yeah, and they also dialed to the manager.
And
so
sometimes
they'll
in
get
the
phone
weekends,
calls
you
on
couldn't
that.
catch either the manager or the water plant, because it's only one man, one employee at the time at nights, you know, Saturdays and Sundays. So he has a job to do.
Yep.
Back and forth, you all know it, you work there. And sometimes there's complaints because, hey, you didn't catch the audio, you didn't get somebody's, was calling in for something went wrong or complaining, and you're gonna put it up to them. I don't think it's right, because sometimes I know for sure that they call the manager of the wastewater, he probably was on vacation, or he had his phone off and nobody answered, and all of a sudden the water was overflowing, you know.
Yeah.
But it is nice to have it, I'm not against it, but I wanna make sure that, I mean, people that are receiving the alarm really do it, you know, because I'm not on standby, I turn it off. I'm not.
Does it automatically forward to cell phones or services?
Yes, yes.
It automatically, yeah, it automatically does, yeah.
And all the
And
managers
it does forward if the internet goes offline too, doesn't it? Does it?
Well, there's no communication.
There's no
at all.
communication
It's
at
like a
all?
cell phone, you have a drop call or whatever, like a cell phone.
There is.
And it works exactly the same.
He'll do that, Scott, he'll forward,
It'll
eventually it'll
Yeah,
come back
please.
to the first one.
Right.
It'll keep ringing.
It'll
Yeah.
keep, dialing over and over until.
So it goes to the water plant manager and the supervisor on
The
duty?
supervisor, the lift station supervisor,
Uh-huh.
that's where it's gonna go to,
Yeah.
First.
first. And then after that, the water plant.
They have the capability of, and put in numerous numbers that they can continue to go like on a rotation.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Put
he'll-
the director of operations in there.
Also.
He'll
Yeah, I'll put first.
he'll call and call and call, and eventually he'll stop and wait 15 or whatever his program to do, and then he'll call again,
Yeah.
like any other phone. I know because I work with him. That's the way to work.
Yes.
We can program up to 5 phone numbers for it to dial if one doesn't answer. So call forward and then call forward and then call forward, and somebody's gonna answer the phone. As opposed to the existing, it goes out once, and if it doesn't answer, put in more. So that's what the additional, recognizing that failure within the existing system and implementing this technology over your wireless intranet, so it's not gonna go out to the internet, it's all internal communication, is how this is gonna be managed.
Is this a one-time cost, or is this annual, or what?
No, this is a one-time cost.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
I got a question for you, sir. If the network ain't working, how is that gonna voice thing gonna work, huh? We've been having, all I hear every meeting is the network wasn't working, the network, not us, network, and I believe them. What's going on with the network, if it's not communicating or transmitting or receiving, whatever it does, how is it's gonna come back to the manager or the supervisor that's on call?
Your intranet and internet are two different animals.
Yeah.
Right? You've got two different IT topologies. Intranet is if I had a cup with a big string going to you and we're talking about.
I understand that, you can say the
So
word.
that is what this communication is gonna be.
But now you got voice going to the internet, like you're
The
telling me.
program's gonna sit internally, and so it's gonna push out data until there's something received, right? So that's how it's managed internally.
Yeah.
If, somebody's cloud server is offline, I can't control that, right?
Yeah.
That's going internet, right? This is intranet. So, we're recognizing those failure points and a lot of other ones that you mentioned about networking and are implementing solutions for those.
By this, you're telling me we're not gonna have that much problem with our alarm, with the voice going to the cell phone?
Not within the environment that we're implementing now.
Okay, take your word for it.
Second the motion.
We have a motion made by Mr. Keplinger and a second by Mr. Thomas. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. Are there any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving to item number 8, consider and award floor coating for water plant number 2, microfiltration building.
Right. Now, this item's related to the building contract microfiltration, where the original contractor, GP7, never completed some of the floor. And so this request is for Fastco, who we deem as a qualified qualified contractor to complete this work, and it'll be assessed until the liquidated damages of the
It'll be
original
backed out of the guy's contract, correct?
Right.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Thomas,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Garcia. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
There are none opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving to item number 9, consider and remove from the table the following item tabled on the board meeting of June 25th, 2014. Consider and approve renewing Orbit Broadband IT contract.
If you recall, we had it, tabled, so we need to remove it.
Move to remove.
Motion to take off the table. Motion made by Mr. Garcia, second by Mr. Vella. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
There are any opposed? None. Item is off the table and open for discussion.
Well, you gotta go to item.
Now we're going to item 10, excuse me. Consider and approve renewing Orbit Broadband IT contract. We've had a workshop, the item is off the table. We've had numerous discussions regarding this topic. Are there any questions or comments further to discuss? If so, we do have the main man here that can address any additional comments or questions.
I got a question. What's your name? What's your name, sir? Richard. On all this talk that's here about I'm going back to the network. You gotta be closer because I can't hear even though I've got hearing aids. I'm sorry about that. But on this network deal, we're having problems with. Does it have to be a technician to identify when we have a network problem?
Yes. Because, you guys can hear me, right? Okay. An IT engineer is a design freak, if you will, right? I mean, you guys know the industry. So, the way that your network is designed is managed at a level so that system applications can be understood by that level of individual, right? When we established our IT contract with you back in 2010, was it, or 11? Maybe a few years ago, 2-3 years ago, 2012. You've added 5 additional remote sites, all the VoIP phones, the cameras, the web page, the video uploading, your iPads, their tablets, and in addition, all your networking and communication internally. So you've grown tremendously.
I know that. Well, tremendously what we had.
Right.
I think bigger establishments. This is my question. If I'm watching CBS, that channel goes out, and I turn it to NBC or whatever, and that's on, I know the network problem is in CBS. This is what I'm trying to get through. Can one of our employees here, by attaching to the technician you got, understand when a network is out, it's not working, it's not the system here? Like one time in the meeting, we couldn't get a video, and they were trying to get a hold of your technician, but for some reason it was 6 o'clock or 6:30, and couldn't get a hold of him. And find out that next day there was some problem with the whatever it was programmed here. It was very easy, but could somebody here can find out what's wrong with the network or if it's us?
If I may comment on that, at that time, all of this was newly installed, and I think that everyone was becoming aware, and it was new. So I don't think that's a real fair.
But I'm not accusing nobody. I'm just asking. Can somebody here make no difference when it's a network problem or a problem we created ourselves by moving the program or the channel like you do in the TV. You have a TV program in some channel and you're trying to see another one and it's not coming out. You understand me?
I do.
Otherwise, you call the technician, they will be paying overtime or whatever it costs to come here.
Right. Can somebody understand if it's internal or if it's user error or if it's internet or if it's a server or if it's an online application, if that's what's causing their problem? Possibly. But it would take a lot of training to be able to determine that.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I know for sure that we got plenty of employees here that understand whatever it is to understand about networks and computers. The thing is, they're not with the system that what the technician is doing. If the technician can tell, maybe Mr. Couplinger, if this is happening, maybe you have like a troubleshooting procedure.
Yeah.
They will have a troubleshooting procedure when the technician leaves, because after 5, if he's going to work from 8 to 5, he leaves, and we need him. I mean, and when we call him, we're going to pay.
Understand.
He's not going to come free. But
That-
we got somebody here that already has a troubleshooting procedure on something. He can look at it and says, wait a minute, are you on the right channel or whatever you want to call it,
Right.
on the right program or whatever, and then we can work, like, somebody here can work it out.
Yeah, first try this, if that
Yeah.
doesn't work, try
Right.
this, if that doesn't
Instead
work.
of trying to get a hold of somebody they don't
I
answer.
know that we had some trouble prior to a few meetings back, and we called them and they went through the system.
Now, what time was it?
They were supposed to do, and we got it going right away.
What time was it?
They do have availability after hours.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
do answer.
I
What time
think
was it, Carlos?
I think every single one of these guys have my cell number.
Remember what it was? It was
The night, that day we had that meeting here, we didn't get a hold of nobody.
it was about
The Adobe
Five-
update.
5:45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5:45, we were trying to get it.
Well, I remember that time when we didn't get a hold of nobody. But, I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
But I want to say, could Mr. Gomez or Charles or Mr. Valdez or Daisy would say, oh, wait a minute, you know, this is what the problem is, you know, by looking at some kind of a procedure instead, you know, because people here should know something about what they're handling.
If
I get in the car and I better know what I'm on, you know. Because I like getting in the car that I can hit the accelerator, it won't go 50 miles in 5 minutes, and I can get in the car, hit the accelerator and go 100 miles in 2 minutes.
Well,
So people, you understand?
it is, and that's a very valid point, right? At troubleshooting techniques, right? We have them on our webpage with internet service. If the internet goes out or this is step one. You know, reboot the radio, reboot your router, and we teach individual, if it's this, then this may be the problem, right? So yes, we do have troubleshooting techniques to answer your question. Now, do I want somebody rebooting the server here? Absolutely not, right? Or do I want somebody, you know, unplugging the switch? And no, I don't want anybody doing that, right? It would cause greater issues. But if my PC isn't responding for some reason, are there some troubleshooting techniques that I can do? I'll answer it two-phase. Yes, there is, right? If one of those is turning it on and off a few times, you're going to blow your PC up. So we don't encourage that. Now, every single PC here that is on your intranet, we can access remotely. If I wanted to access this PC tonight, we could and help troubleshoot. We learned that because the problems we had, remember the PC blew up? Well, we couldn't determine what it was. So we do get calls after 5 o'clock. These guys call me all the time, by the way, and on Saturdays. Sorry?
Those calls are no charge.
Our contract with you is for a full-time IT individual. My hours are not from 8 to 5. I mean, when you ran the elections, we were here on Saturdays. We were here at night. We actually developed a database at no charge so that you can run the electoral.
I was looking at this.
Right, so we established the 8 to 5 because the previous IT individual would charge by the hour.
Okay.
Right, so we replicated what he was doing, thought it was a good idea. It was 6 initially, but it's not a 8 to 3 job. It's not even an 8 to 5 job. It's a full-time job, and that's what we do. Not only and the level of importance for us to make sure that it's up and running is because we utilize your water tower, and internet service has to be on. So when you have power outages for 3 or 4 hours, right, and there's not a lot of productivity here going on, your IT guy's here. We're here, right? So, and we're working with these guys, running generators back and forth to make sure we've got some type of connectivity so your customers have some type of access.
He's providing services beyond
Yeah.
our
This is
services
what I
here.
was
His
talking about.
services are.
Yeah. So,
Couldn't understand.
so your troubleshooting techniques, yes, sir, absolutely. There are troubleshooting techniques that are standard in the industry to try to get a PC functional again. I honestly feel that's our responsibility, whether it's 8 in the morning or 8 o'clock at night. You know, believe me, things go on here at night all the time. You know, we've got hackers that are constantly attacking everybody's system. Yeah, everybody's, you know, vulnerable. So we constantly monitor connectivity. We constantly running reports on the routers on who's trying to ping your router to gain accessibility. So, yes, it can be. You know, that we can, if you'd like to see a 3-step on how to reboot, absolutely. If we do have a person here from 8 to 5, we have, you know, people monitoring after 5 o'clock. It's a full-time job, right? I mean, it's a salaried position to me and to our representatives. You're on salary, you work, and that's the level of professionalism that we're trying to implement here. Okay. So I asked my IT administrator to write a brief description of what they do here. He gave me 4 pages, right? And then he added the additional the additional growth that LMWD has had over the last 2 years. Now, even prior to then, we've been working with LMWD since 2008, and we've always assisted one way or another with IT, right? Somehow. So we've always been involved with the growth of the district. I will address your networking questions. Why do you have so many complaints with the network, and what is going on? Your intranet and the network itself and the use of encode works great. No issues with people not logging on to encode. Service that's here, they're in the warehouse, or they're this plant, they can log in. All that's working wonderfully. The VoIP system has had some complications. We're completely aware of that. We're working on that continuously. We're replicating some other things that have proven out to be beneficial at other customer locations here. I completely want to separate the two and not mix them both, right? So we're going to implement a full IP network just for phones and a full IP network just for IT, and we'll separate those two, and let that data not commingle anymore. So that's
going to be something that technician will be working on for the next year.
We're already programming a dual WAN router to bring in next week to start doing that. And so every location where you have a phones, you will have 2 radios basically outside, one for the internet and one for the phone, right? And we just got to separate them.
And has the issue with the recording been looked at or worked on, or when people call? I called in yesterday and it's same recording.
We did work on that. I worked with Mr. Devlet on that. Mm-hmm. And what was happening in the past is that whenever a call came in, it went through the auto answer, and a person would go into customer service. It would go directly into into Elma extension. And if she wasn't there, or if she was on the phone, then it would go directly into her voicemail. Right. But what we did is that we got it so instead of just going to Elma's, ringing just at Elma's extension, it now rings at 5 extensions. So somebody's got to pick it up.
Right, yeah. When I called in the other day, it was Minnie that picked up.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
but my question though is when there's like a little click, and if you don't wait, you're going to think you got hung up on. there's like a little beep or a little click. Once they say in something about if you wanna do it in Spanish, mark it, you know, primeros or whatever. And then there's like a little click or something. And if you don't wait, you think, hey, they hung up on me. Okay? Have y'all heard that? Have y'all called in? Call in and hear.
I keep forgetting to call the general way, I call
But
I know, but still.
Call the direct way,
I know,
I keep
but
forgetting to
still.
generally call.
These guys don't have their cell phones on the website, so nobody can call them directly, they gotta call here. So maybe look at that, Robert, okay?
I'll talk to you.
Ask another place where
Okay.
you call and they'll give you the extension.
Well, maybe after the meeting, we'll call and
Give
you'll
you
hear
the
it.
extension of
And
that.
I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Or the personnel you wanna talk to.
I'm sorry, sir?
I call some places where you call
Uh-huh.
and it says, give me the name from R to B or whatever.
Okay.
And then say, that will be extension so and so, you know, it will give you the extension. The extensions are, a lot of extensions. I usually call the VFW in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And they got plenty of people working there and they'll answer and tell you who you wanna talk to. This is extension this, extension that, and press 2, press 3, press 4.
Well, there is a Rolodex feature. I don't necessarily,
It takes a while to get to it.
think that's what we want to implement, but
I'm trying to get like the last name, the three letters of the last name, you know.
yeah.
If it's not by name, maybe it's by department that
By
they're looking
department
for.
right now.
It does
More
have
so
departments right
than-
now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But the reason that it has that little wait there is because it's asking if you want to hear in Spanish to mark number 2.
Yeah, but then there's like a little click or a little something.
Yeah, and the reason it has that is because if you hit the 2 and most of the extensions, well, all the extensions down here start with a 2. And if you're trying to get somebody down here, it's gonna send you right to the Spanish version. That's why it has that little wait with that click.
Might need to change the numbers.
Yeah, something needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
It's different. Also, I got a question for.
That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to hear, what you, this.
Yeah, so,
this is the
yes,
explanation.
if the district so chooses to have, people's extension listed by last name, your dialer can do that. Not your dialer, but your system can do that. I mean, you've got a very elaborate system,
Yeah.
exceptionally elaborate system, so.
Jeff?
Yes, I have a question for staff. Have you guys checked with any comparable entity like us that has the communications systems that we have to see if they have someone on staff full-time?
We haven't done that.
You haven't done that?
I think,
Another water district that has all the dialers?
Put it back on the table.
I mean, as far as IT, or?
As far as
Yeah,
IT?
Oh,
Yes.
Brownfield PUV has a full.
No,
IT.
that's not comparable,
Yeah.
that's not comparable to that.
Okay.
I'm talking about comparable to that. PUB's way out there.
They probably have more than one over there.
Yeah, they got their own, probably 2 or 3 in-house. That's my only,
okay, you're talking about IT.
yeah, I mean,
Something to look at.
Good point. We do.
because I'm wondering, when are we gonna get to the point where we don't need somebody full-time? It's usually you set up a system, yeah. They come in once a month and redo it. Other companies, that's what other companies do.
I don't know, I mean, because it's a daily thing, something always goes down.
Well,
It just happens.
Are computers compatible?
Yeah.
Well, we migrated, and continuously migrating the district from XP to Windows 7. XP has no support. We assisted with the migration for Encode, right? So we've got a new version of Encode now, right? And that was a process. So your protocols are constantly being updated, but that's our job to bring to you. Hey guys, you need to do this, by the way. Here, this is where the industry is going, and this is where we're lacking. So IT individual isn't reactive, he's proactive. We've been pretty proactive with a lot of things that in order to help reduce costs here.
Yeah.
And an IT individual is doing that. To answer your question, Mr. Kepplinger, we do support other utility districts. We do support Valley Mud, right, in Rancho Viejo. We do support Rancho Viejo, the same similar system. They actually have more phones than you do. And before we discussed this IT contract, you had a guy that would come. And what we were proposing for a full-year individual, full-time salaried guy, no hours, no limitations, I think you spent about $2,000 less than that in 8 months. And that was 2011. So I've talked to Mr. Gomez, I've talked to Mr. Galvan. Eventually, you need to have an employee here. We want you to have an employee. I'd love for you to have an employee and help you get there, right? The industry's salary range right now is really, it's high. You're going to be paying $60,000 when it's all said and done with benefits. And you guys, I mean,
Any idea what the island does? Do they have their own
Yes.
IT person?
yes, they do, Mr. Washington.
Paul, I think it was
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah.
City, how about the city?
The city of South Padre Island?
No, here.
The city of Port Isabel?
Yeah.
I don't know for a fact of that.
They do.
They do?
They got
They
one
do.
too?
Yeah,
Their
Port
own
Isabel, Port
You're either
Isabel
gonna have a guy
does.
on staff or you're gonna have a contract guy.
Yeah.
It's the new way of the future. And personally, a contract
Yes,
staff
sir.
is a much easier way to manage than having an in-house, because then you're having to retrain, you're having to retool, and no disrespect to our staff, but they're not specialized or trained in computers and computer software and computer hardware and issues.
Well, there's
and-
a college degree called computer science. I
and
believe.
that's
Yeah.
we're at that level now, and the thing that you have to also understand is if you're not updating and putting in new software and updating the software, you're behind, and then you're prone to a hack, or you're prone to a security breach, or you're prone to something. There's a whole lot more to this than just someone being in this position, but
It's difficult to keep an in-house person.
and it's only going to get more defined and more technical. Unfortunately, this is just the beginning of the technical statute where it's going.
Yeah.
I mean, you're dealing with this, and everything is becoming more tech and more vulnerable.
And as a district, migrates and you evolve, you're eventually going to be monitoring all your lift stations remotely. Every single one of them, right? You're going to need an individual to do that as well.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Motion has been made by Mr. Keplinger.
Second.
There's been a second made by Mr. Vella. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None? Thank you. I'm glad we got the baby to rest.
Thank you.
Really, my question was, I didn't understand. They told me 8 to 5, I didn't go for it.
Yeah.
Now that you told me the way it is.
Well, I'll pull up my phone records, you can see how many times
Yeah.
Mr. Gomez called me on Saturday.
Mr. Galvan, I want to thank you and your company and your services that you provide to the district, and I think they're
Mr.
well
Gomez, no more calling
well
on
valued.
Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 11, consider and approve investment report for the quarter ending June 30th, 2014.
Motion to approve.
A motion has been made by Mr. Thomas. Has everyone had a chance to read the investment report and
I would
had
like
a chance to discuss
say
it?
one thing as far as the report is concerned. I'm sure you've noticed, on the investment, as far as the CDs are concerned, we have 2 CDs left, that will be maturing, one in December and the other one that's coming up, in November. The reason for this is that the interest rates that are being paid on CDs are less than 0.25%. And we're earning, more in the bank by having it in our checking account than by putting it in CDs.
Man, that's scary.
But this is what you want to do, get them out when they mature. I'm not wrong.
That's what we're doing.
I sure hate having that money just sitting in the checking account,
I know.
though. I mean, security measure is a CD, but the financial measure is not a CD.
I agree.
But they are being, collateralized. The account is collateralized, and that is per the agreement with IDC.
But sometimes the interest rate increase depending on the length of the term of the CD, no?
Yes, if we go to like, 2 years, then it'll make a little bit of a difference.
I got a dumb question.
They're all dumb.
I know, they're all dumb. we're gonna have it all in a checking account, right? For the most part? I mean, but the FDIC only covers up to 250,000, is that right? So,
That's why I'm saying that.
what if IBC goes under?
The bank is collateralizing that with their assets.
Yeah, but if they go under, they're not gonna have any, we're gonna be fighting for assets. You see what I'm saying? That's kinda scary, guys.
Very valid, and that was basically my point of I don't like having that and just that kind of money loosely in a checking account.
Collateralized out.
Yeah.
Can you maybe check with, Dallas and find out what they recommend?
What does collateralized mean exactly?
What is collateralized? I'm talking about Dallas, our financial advisor. Check with them and see about what, I mean, 'cause if IBC goes under, I mean, everybody's gonna be fighting for their money, for what's left. And that's a lot of cash we're gonna have laying around.
Well, I've looked into treasury bills, but treasury bills are not really paying any more than CDs. I mean,
But they're safer? But they're safer than having it in a checking account, I would think.
What about tax pool or something? More in tax pool in a different fund or something?
That's scary too.
Tax pool.
That's scary.
Yeah.
They lost a lot of money.
Yeah, that's scary too.
Tax pool back in the nineties, I believe it was, they lost a lot of money.
Yeah, the teacher retirement,
Yeah.
they took a big hit not too long ago.
Yeah.
Well, put this in hold until you call those people in Dallas.
Yeah. Check it out with Noe and the guys. Yeah.
And company.
Yeah.
Let's make a motion then.
There's a motion on the floor.
Mr. Thomas.
Motion made by Mr. Thomas,
Second.
second by Mr. Vella. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None, motion carries. Thank you. Moving to item number 12, consider and approve the financial report as of June 30th, 2014.
I got questions.
Start.
All right, page one. Page one, it's supposed to be June 30th, 2014, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I figured that was a typo. All right. Now, you got a new column in here that you didn't have the previous month. We've got a new column in there, it's called total encumbered, okay, that we didn't have the previous financial statement, okay? All right, that means that's money we owe, correct? Or that's tied up?
Items that have been ordered, not necessarily that is owed, but there are items that are in order.
Okay.
We may have or not, we may have received them or we may not have received them.
Okay, so I'm looking at the first,
Would that be similar to accounts payable?
There's a difference. Accounts payable, you've already received the item, you owe it. Encumbered is something that you order, you have not received it, so you don't owe it yet.
Almost the same
okay,
thing.
so under 01 water plant, it shows total encumbered $495,000. What's going on there?
Okay, what happened here, and this is something that as a matter of fact, we were talking to Mario today about this, is that there had been a requisition that was submitted for the whole year for chlorine for the chemicals. Subsequently, we had to bid for chemicals, and it was for 17 months. And we did the 17-month requisition is what happened, and it should have been for 5 months rather. We should have canceled the first requisition and just set in a new requisition for 5 months at that point. But we need to get rid of the old requisition that's in there for 17 months. That's what it amounts to.
And so how much is that?
We've got a year that's encumbered that shouldn't be there. And that's probably around, it's gonna be tough to estimate, but I was gonna say probably about 300,000 plus.
A year forward or retro?
Remove.
Remove. To take off.
He
shouldn't have that much in there.
Cause that puts y'all way out, that put it at 106% already with that encumbrance,
Yeah,
so.
right. No, but that's misleading.
Okay.
At this point. And a lot of it, as I said, is items that have been ordered, but in this case, a lot of that has not even been ordered. It's just a requisition that was submitted, that was put in there.
So you figure about 300 grand?
I'm estimating that, yes, sir.
Okay.
But I need to look at it.
So that would bring down that encumbrance to about 195,000. for the water plants?
Couple of hundred, yes.
Yeah.
At least.
All right, I got another question. All right, under year-to-date actual, on that column on top, finance department, you're already at 80% of your budget. What's going on there?
That was, that has been supplies primarily, what we've ordered,
Okay.
but,
Mr. General?
part of it, I'm sorry, part of it also, we transferred 3 individuals from the, maintenance, from oil, from distribution into, finance. The,
Why?
one of them is to help the meter reader, and the other one are to, test the meters.
Why would that go into
Because
finance?
why would that go under
Because
finance?
they're more customer service oriented. When a customer calls in that they have a problem with the meter, they go out there and test it, and it's actually more in customer service, so we transfer it into customer.
Who runs those guys, Mini?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
So the organizational chart is gonna have to be changed or what?
Change a little bit.
I thought that was going on for a long time when Hoyle's people came over here and
Well,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
we did that
I was here,
this
I've been here
year.
32 years and it was going like that.
Yeah, they've been,
Yes, before you came.
The distribution department, but it wasn't
Right.
the right, department, so we decided to go back to the finance department and have one to do, they directly, work under her.
Right.
So we decided to move.
All right, so when we do our budget amendment before the end of the fiscal year, we'll go ahead and
I need to bring up their
Yeah.
salary budget, and we did do the.
and that would come out of construction and maintenance, you said?
I'm sorry?
That would come out of construction and maintenance, those
The
employees?
Distribution.
Distribution.
Right.
So where's distribution?
Three construction maintenance.
Yeah.
Construction maintenance, yeah. So- And they're at 60%, so they're well under the 75%,
Carlos,
which is what we're doing.
I always thought that they worked here and they were being paid by distribution and,
That's what it was.
it used to be like that, huh?
It didn't seem to.
They worked here, but they were paid by them,
Right,
Right.
but that's those departments.
that's correct.
All right. All right. One other question. How did we all of a sudden jump down to 100, we went from last month, we were 283 in the hole, and now we're 110 in the hole? What happened? Not that it's a bad thing.
No, but if you look, I'm sorry, I submitted this a little late, you might have received it through an email,
I got an email.
okay?
I didn't
But if
see
you
it, I
look
didn't see that one.
at May and June, they weren't as bad as the other months, we did recover some.
May was the last month's report, so I guess I didn't, see, it's a different format. You all gave us a different format, so this
Yes.
was the one we got last month, this is the one we got this month, so it's kinda going, wait a
Well,
minute. Yeah.
I'm sorry, and I did that on purpose, because I was trying to get some feedback from you to see which one you prefer.
I thought you were trying to confuse us.
Well,
No?
not you, but no.
Okay, all right.
That one on your left hand is on a month-by-month basis.
Which ones you guys like? The month by month, or you wanna see up to 9 months?
Up to 9 months personally.
Yeah, I kinda like this one myself
Okay.
too, yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah. There's too many columns in this one, and it gets too small,
Oh,
it's
and
gonna
it's
get too
gonna get
small.
longer, too.
Yeah, they're gonna get longer, yeah. All right, so what was the deal on, we caught up a little bit?
Yes, yes, sir. In looking at this particular, schedule, you'll see that in May, the difference between this year and last year was only 7,300, and this last month in June, it was 21,000, compared to, March, which was 76,000. And then in April, we actually earned a little bit more in water revenue than we did last year. We had $2,500 to the good. This month, July, the island looked like we were better than last year by about, I believe it was about $7,000. So, it looks like it's coming back some, but, it's kind of
But I'm still trying to figure out how was it $183,000 difference from 1 month to the next? Because we were $283,000 in the hole here.
Yes.
And then now we're $110,000 in the hole here. That's 100.
From 1 month to 9 months.
From 1 month. In 1 month, we knocked off $183,000 out of our reading.
Well, we stopped, expenses, we cut down on expenses and increased revenue somewhat, so.
And then we're in the summer months now too. We're gonna be making more money.
Income has
Yeah.
tripled or quadrupled. I mean, you just came out of one of your best 6 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where you
I'm
wanna
not
do
saying
a
it's
better
bad. I'm
billing
not saying it's a
cycle.
bad thing. I just.
And the
was
next
wondering.
billing cycle also will be one of the better ones, July. I mean, July is,
July.
Okay. That's all I got.
Move to approve, Sheriff.
motion made by Mr.
Second.
Thomas, seconded by Mr. Keplinger. All those in favor? None opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item number 13, consider and approve the disbursements. If there are any particular disbursements to discuss, I'd like to pull them out. Otherwise, I'd like to get a motion to approve all the disbursements. And has everyone had a chance to review all of the disbursements? Does anyone want to pull or discuss anyone in particular?
Move.
Motion made to approve all of the disbursements by Mr. Thomas.
On the handheld radios, is this the ones, what we're billing, what we talked about during the last meeting?
That's correct. That's the one.
Second.
There's a second made to approve the disbursements by Mr. Garcia. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. Are there any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving to item number 14, General Manager's Report, update on Tank Pro and vehicle usage.
Okay, on, Tank Pro, I had a meeting with, a gentleman that owns a company, he didn't want, the meeting that we had, he requested no attorneys to be present, so, I agreed with that, and anyhow, we did have a meeting, we discussed a lot of issues, and, that's Mr. Phillips Stearman. He kinda mentioned to me all, a lot of issues that he had with his company, and, coming to, towards the end, he mentioned that he would like to get compensated for some of the wind, dates that he had. And, come to that, I did send a copy to our counsel, legal counsel here, and, just to review, I am going to respond to him in certain ways, because, I believe that some of the information that he provided to me is a little bit inaccurate, and he's requesting too much, pay on his, that was his main request, was, pay. So, I don't believe that, he, deserves a lot of that information that he's requesting. So, in all this, I recall that the contract agreement was 180 days, to complete the job. And there was another contractor doing, another job on the island at the same time. And, that contractor completed the job, and this one was still ongoing for 572. 592 days, so you can see there that they did take longer, a lot longer than what was supposed to be in the contract. And of course, we did award them some wind days, and, I think he's expecting more. But he did not want his attorney to be present, and, he just wanted to have a one-on-one meeting, which I agreed to that, and I told him, whatever he's thinking that he needs, compensated, to put it in writing. Because, he could tell me something here and there, and I won't have any backup to say that he's requesting this. So I asked him to put everything in writing, and he did send me a letter requesting information. But right now, there's nothing that we can compensate him for, and like I said, I gave a copy to Mr. Marianes, and I will be, contact with Mr. Miami, trying to respond to him in a professional way. He understands our part as, the same as we understand his part too. So, that's where we're at this time. Okay, and then, on the other one, it's the vehicle usage. I know that we had some complaints of employees, with emergency lights on, driving on the highway, you know, and some of the customers follow them, you know, like, what are they doing? They must have a big leak somewhere.
I did.
Yeah, but there was another customer also besides you.
Is this during heavy traffic times,
Yeah, and,
maneuver through traffic or what?
So they both complained that, you know.
I didn't complain, I just
Follow them, and
wondered
there's
what
nothing-
was going on.
Nothing wrong, no emergency, and they have the emergency lights on, the 4 employees in the trucks. So, Mr. Victor addressed that with the managers.
They were tested,
There's,
tested the light.
three managers,
They couldn't do truck,
3
they couldn't
departments
figure
that
out how to
are,
turn them off.
that, have, construction workers doing some work on, you know, here and there. And then, Mr. Valdez took care of it, assigning, certain assignments with, 3 people. If there's a major, you know, major league. What else, Mr. Valdez?
I just don't, cause I know when, Mr. Thomas, called about that one, when I found out about it, the reason why they had the lights on, we had sent them out to look at the easements on the island, because of the reports that we were getting. We're trying to upgrade a water line out there. Everybody took over the easements, so we need to try and make a journal and see what fences or what walls we're gonna need to knock down to be able to.
You gotta take them out.
To change the line out. At that point, they ended up sending 4 guys, and what they were doing was they were going down, up and down each block and jotting down all the information. So, I mean, the only change I did was, you know, that could have been a 2-man job, not 4 guys.
And aren't the easements in the alleys and not in the front?
Well, there is no alleys in the.
Well, I know what you mean, yeah, but you know what I mean.
The easements are between the streets.
The easements are between the streets.
They're going
Yeah.
like from street to street,
Yeah.
That's all.
So, I mean, I did take care of it, and, I did tell them, I mean.
You could also tell your employees too that when the budget committee meets for the next year's budget, I'm gonna request that GPS go on all of the vehicles, so we can keep track of where our employees are at all times.
It tells you where they are, how long they've been. I mean, it monitors the vehicles for you.
It's for their own safety too, you know.
Yeah.
Every big company's got that
GPS
now.
don't come in
FedEx,
cheap.
any of them.
No, it is.
FedEx, Ford.
Gonna tell you, but make sure you have a budget, that's a budget item.
Yeah.
That's not
That's a budget item, that's correct.
That is a big budget item.
No, that's not gonna be that
It is.
expensive. Not that
I think
expensive.
Is that in
did
the
go out
budget?
for-
Because we're under right
We
now.
did price them at one time,
We
and
don't have
it was
any problem
pretty.
spending money
it was
that's
pretty
not.
hefty.
They come down pretty good.
But the technology's been,
Yeah.
updated, and the cost has gone down.
Like, who was it that complained about it?
It was,
It's
the customer did give me a name, but it was some, he just said, I asked, did
They
you
give
get
you the
truck
unit number?
Did you get the truck number? No, you know, but still, like, did, call the, managers up, and it was one of the trucks that was out there doing, some work.
Yeah, but no, you gotta take it in, sometimes it's got a switch on it.
Yeah.
Doesn't automatically turn on.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're trying to get off the truck or getting in the truck, you hit that switch, it's on, and you're in a hurry. I mean, they got you, there's a leak over there, you don't realize until somebody like Mr. Thomas sees it and calls it in, you know? That's when you realize you had it on.
I wouldn't have paid any attention to it, other than the emergency flashers were on, and I thought, oh, we got trouble someplace. So I followed them for about 2 blocks, and they was just driving.
Then we don't need it.
Nobody get in and out of the truck, and I finally went, I ain't got time for this shit.
Yes.
Budget item.
Yes. Anything else, Mr. Carlos?
That's it on that one. Nothing else.
Thank you for your diligence, Carlos, we appreciate. Moving to item number 15, District Engineers Report. Carlos?
right, yeah, I'm just mainly giving construction progress updates, starting off with lift station 19. All the concrete's poured, right now they're doing the electrical work. The electrical work should be done probably by the end of next week. In the wet well, there's one guardrail that needs to be installed, and the wet well work is finished. So basically, I mean, the other part of it is they're working on the tie-in of the force main right now.
Come back.
They're tying in the new force main to our existing piping, and so that's really what's on their schedule, aside from the electrical work that's pending. And so they exposed it earlier this week, and they found out all that existing piping's covered in concrete, and they requested a fill change to make that tie-in work a little better.
Unforeseen conditions.
Yeah, there's some additional ductile iron pipes that we've encountered, and I just got that estimate for the additional piping material today, and so I'll be requesting that. It's like a $3,000 increase, that I'll be requesting at the next board meeting, and that'll take care of the tie-in, the additional material, since the labor will be the same to complete the effort. But that's basically the only change that's foreseen. I mean, the project should be finished up, about the first week of September.
Charles, how much was the cost on that lift station?
No, I don't have it in front of me.
Give me a shotgun figure.
Nine?
Yeah, I think it was, the original bid was about $870, and then we did that $22,000 increase for lift station 22, and then there'll be another $3,300 for this.
$900,000.
Yeah, about $900,000.
That's one of the main ones we got.
Yeah, and then we also got lift station 22 in the same contract, so.
That we spent on the island. I just tried to give you guys $80,000 a month. Never mind.
All right, so I guess any questions on lift station 19? I mean, it's running pretty smooth. They're pretty much almost out of there. Moving on to Quad pump station and pipeline. The pipeline's complete. It's tied in, so we're already pushing water through the pipeline portion of work. He does have a final change order request that I'm still reviewing.
What?
There's a final change order, just resolution of the schedule of values for everything that was encountered in the field, and it's primarily the tie-in of the pump station. The original plan had a cross, but we had to do a field change to make it really work at the end of the day. And so I still need to review those details and figure out how if it's gonna balance out with the original contract. And I don't have that answer yet.
We're not talking about a lot of dollars anyway.
No, the match would be a $10,000 increase, but it's probably not there.
And I understand there was a few leaks too, and they've been taken care of?
Yes. Yeah, all the leaks have been taken care of. There was a lot of emergency repairs that came in at that time.
Okay.
So, we already got it all taken care of. We did clean the ground storage tank. So we removed about a good, 6, 7 feet of silt.
7 feet.
Yeah. What was I complaining about a year and a half ago?
Where'd it go?
We have it spread out on the adjacent property. The
Okay.
adjacent owner wants to use it to build furniture around his name.
Okay, good.
Good soil? Good
Yeah,
clean
I'm
soil?
sure, yeah.
No, there's some right out in there. Anytime we need to get rid of dirt, there's some really low, if you go up just a little bit and take off into that, they tried to build a division back there. That thing floods every time we get a big rain, which I think the last time was about 1968 or something, but I don't know. But anyway, no, so anytime we've got to get rid of that type of material, we don't have a problem.
The lift station, I mean, the pump station almost done too?
Yeah, the pump station, I mean, they're gonna end up probably finishing around the same time as lift station 19. Right now, they're doing the paint on the piping. The building, they already finished the stucco. This week, they were pouring the transformer pad, and AEP's scheduled to be out there on Monday to do the new electrical service. And, we're still on the existing pump at the old pump station. And, basically, I mean, the schedule for getting we already have we have all the additional equipment. So the second pump station's already in the ground, the second VFD is already sitting there installed. The AC duct tank is all working, and I think we're all waiting really on the electrical service, which is scheduled for Monday. And then like that, we'll be able to finalize all the electrical work, with everything energized. And, I mean, again, we're looking at the end of August for being finished out with the pump station as well. And then, I guess, yeah, that's basically where we're at, so those projects pretty much being wrapped up. They'll probably just be the final change orders on lift station 19 and the pipeline. And even on Quad pump station, there is one deduct that we're looking at right now. It's at Reservoir 4. Originally, they were supposed to change out that limit torque valve, but we can't isolate it. so we're looking at, a revision there where I think, we were trying to do an even swap with the VFD, static variable frequency drives to pumps 1 and 2, but I think it's not an equal zero cost for removing that valve install and adding the VFD. So we're reviewing that to make sure, the district is getting a fair deal on that contract adjustment that we're gonna look at as well for. So we're still reviewing that right now as well. But that's basically what's going on. But if anything, that'll be a decrease on the contract. So basically, yeah, that's it. I guess going on the water plant 2, microfiltration, everything's operating. We're running at 6 MGD right now at water plant 2.
Okay. How many?
6 million gallons per day.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not turning yellow.
No.
All right.
Everything's running smooth. So, we're just...
I got a question.
Uh,
All right. Have we learned anything from San Benito? With their disaster, with their microfiltration plant?
well, we have a different...
Yes, we have. Actually, the problem with them is a total different, microfiltration than ours. They,
It's a
use
different
like,
type of system?
Siemens technology where it sucks in the water through the membrane and then the clean water goes to the potable use. And ours is totally different, it's pressurized.
We're pushing it.
Right,
We're pushing it.
Pushing it, and it's totally different, and our technology is way better than the Siemens product.
Yeah, what happened in San Benito from top to WCQ is they failed their direct integrity test, basically the end caps posted on the membrane. And so it's a matter of like a lack of your EFMs, enhanced pumps maintenance is done about every 15 minutes or so. And so it's based on, then your clean in place is like based on certain tolerances. So those cleaning activities must be happening, or you're going to build up a whole lot of mess in those membranes, and they're going to get damaged. So as long as you're maintaining your cleaning procedures, I mean, you're not going to be doing anything like what happened in San Diego.
So, okay, so ours is different. I hope...
Two different animals.
Okay, well, I hope the warranty's over with for the engineer's sake on that one.
Yeah,
I got a question, Charles.
well,
I got a question on that. Generator, is it working? Is it connected already?
no, the generator's not connected.
Well, we're already in hurricane season. These guys don't seem to be moving.
No, well, right now, it had to go back to the factory, and we approved the PO at the last board meeting for the repair cost, which is gonna be $18,000 to $20,700. So right now, it's literally in Chicago getting work done. We don't know if the controls will need to be replaced until the final testing.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the generator.
Well, the thing is that APS,
Yeah.
2000 amp switch that's up in Chicago.
I understand
the
that now.
service, the generator,
If
everything.
we were gonna fix it, they're gonna pay us back. That's what.
Well, I mean, right now, we did the additional PO to Lofton, which is who we had our equipment purchase contract with, and then we're gonna have to determine what to do with our electrical contract. If we're gonna set damage or how we're gonna get it resolved. But that, we have enough retainage to, where kind of the first strings are not in. So it's a matter of how we're gonna deal with.
But the thing is, we're gonna build it, they should be bonded. Are they bonded?
Yes. Yeah, well, they're bonded, plus we're holding enough retainage.
We got enough retainage.
Yeah, but the thing is, the matter of fact, we're hurricane season. If next month we get a hurricane, we don't have a generator.
Right, and I understand.
Somebody's taking the time. You
But
understand
we have
that?
a generator for the old way to do it, correct?
Yes.
Well, no, because there's no backup power at water plant
No
2
backup
until
power at all.
ACS is repaired, delivered back to site. We're still about, 3 weeks away from the...
What about here?
This
Yeah,
one
we'll
has
work on it.
this
This
one.
one. If we need to go that way, we'll go that way.
Okay. It's always nice to have a little...
At least it has some water, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's plus, like right now, actually what we're doing with the water plant 2.
And I wanna tell you something,
We shut down
Jeff.
water plant 1, and we're doing clarifier repairs, and we're getting it up where we'll have, once these repairs are finished here by the end of the month, we'll be able to push more water than what we've been able to do recently at water plant 1.
I understand all that, but with that no power over there, you can't get no water over here, my friend.
Right.
Not as fast, but maybe you can open the valve and let it flow, but not as fast.
I mean, we really have
We're
to...
doing it up there, water plant number 2.
Yeah,
That's the
I
main
mean-
deal. We have no power there, then try to flow water from up there down here, it's gonna take a long time.
It'll be a trickle.
Well, the only thing we can do is bypass.
It's gravity flow.
The valves there and then pump directly from pocket this way.
All I know is the culpable parties that caused that problem out there, they're dead.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Those two rats, they're dead.
No, but, if it would be that contract, I wouldn't have left those things open, or the panel open with once you tear open the orifice, you can't leave it like that. You gotta plug it.
Right.
You gotta plug it. Anybody knows that.
Because
You gotta plug it. You don't want moisture in there. You don't want rats in there, or what else, whatever can get in there. You plug it.
Raccoon.
Right.
For safety reasons, the first reason.
Well, in retrospect, the sequencing could have been done better, of course, but unfortunately, in a single shutdown, we tried to wire the generator and the utility at the same time. We ran out of time because we were basically running out of water. And so, since all the generator wiring was sticking out, that's what left the enclosure open. So we tried our best to protect the site, but the road still ran in.
And also, the grand opening on it?
Yeah, I mean, grand
We're
opening.
still planning for that?
Yeah, we figured if we can do it at some point in August. I'm still waiting on the plaque. It hasn't showed up yet, but it should be here any day. I don't know.
Well, let's make sure that the water is gonna be absolutely clear and better tasting before we invite people over there and,
Yeah, I mean, we
open
got
the
our-
spigot,
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
we have.
And make sure we have a breeze, we need a breeze, and it needs to be early in the morning before it gets 105 degrees.
November.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, plus we've seen the flood lagoon, so we probably want to clean up that area where we put that all
Really?
filled.
If you
October,
go out there to
actually
the
October.
wetland, you taste the water, I mean, it tastes good. It's coming back in here, with all these lines and all this stuff, it's no filtering, it's coming back here. Up there is something good.
Somebody was telling me their ice cubes, when they melt, they don't have all that sand at the
All that.
bottom.
I drink tap water, I put it in the fridge and make it.
It
Have you all seen the difference in your house?
It should be, especially in Buena Vista, right the way.
I went and got some water one time, I went with Charles, I got some water, and that water's good, I drink tap
I
water.
like it.
They asked me, you like that water? I drank worse water, man. I don't wanna tell you where, but I drank worse water. This water we got is good.
Like the J tank on the shrimp. Ooh, talk about bad tasted water.
Okay, we ready to move on?
Yeah, that's what we report.
Robert?
Yes, sir. First item that I have here is just to inform you of the communications that I've had with the Chris Davis and Brett Garza from the elections office, and they've informed me at this point that for early voting, they will only have one place, which would be at the Benny Ochoa or County Annex, and then for regular elections on November the 4th, they will have three, one in Laguna Vista, again here at the Benny Ochoa, and then in South Padre Island.
So we're not doing it here at the district office at all?
No.
Okay.
I'm waiting for them to give me an estimate on the cost. He said he was gonna send me something, by this past Monday, and it still hasn't, so I'm getting ready to send him another email to find out what the problem is. The next item on the list here is the analysis that Charles and I did on the $1.1 million that were transferred from capital fund to general fund. I submitted a copy of the schedule that Pete had done on that money, and if you're able to look at it, it should be attached there. Everything pretty much was charged to the microfiltration, and then of course there was some to the process pipeline and some title reports. But the following report, the following schedule, you'll see it's the same information, except that I added 3 columns on there. Columns 6, 7, and 8, which I highlighted. 7 and 8 is where we split the money that we went through each of the expenses that were listed on here, and Charles pretty much informed me as to what expense belonged to 2007 and what belonged to 2012. When it was all said and done, we came up with $387,780 that should have been paid by the 2007 bond money, but was actually paid by the 2012 when he transferred that. So what it amounts to is that 2007 money owes the 2012 bond $387,780. In addition to that, we also have a debt or a due from capital to the general fund. It's in the area of $320,322. But when we take into consideration the amount of money that is still needed to complete the commitment for the 2007 bond money, which is $183,561, the capital fund can only repay the general fund $315,985.90. And I put on there a request, but I didn't realize at the time it was a last minute effort that we were doing here. I requested for the board to approve this, but I realized after the agenda had gone out and everything that this is actually an action item, so I have to bring this back at the next meeting to approve a $4,336.19 transfer from general fund, or rather from the capital, from general fund to capital, so we can go ahead and wipe out that G2G fund that is still sitting out there. And that will wipe out the money that is left in the 2007 bond of $937,372.19. Any questions on that?
So we're almost wiped out 2007, that's good.
The next item is has to do with the insurance bid, the health, dental, liability, workers' comp, windstorm. We did get quite a few bids. We're in the process of summarizing that and putting all that together. I'm hoping to be able to finish this so I can bring it to the board by the next board meeting and let you look at the. Well, that was another thing I had. Do we have an insurance committee?
Yes.
The insurance committee? I don't think,
Board, insurance committee that.
I don't recall there being an insurance committee.
What about your professional services?
I think it was you and Greg.
No, we just presented.
Finance.
No, we
Yeah, audit
presented to the
committee.
board as a.
Finance.
That's spending.
I guess maybe we have a workshop before a meeting or something and go over it if you want to, if the board just agrees.
Because we had some Blue Cross Blue Shield came in pretty high compared to some other ones, but we had some from United Health. We had 4 bids that they submitted 4 plans. They're pretty competitive. We had some from TML, and then we had some from Valley Baptist, and then the Blue Cross Blue Shield, and they came in pretty high. But what we want to do is look at the current policy that we have and compare with the policy that they're putting in with the bid on the fee that they're charging, or that they want to charge. So
Yeah, I think you all need to do an analysis.
Do your due diligence on it and get back with us.
sure will. And well, the telephone calls, as I mentioned earlier, we had changed to where instead of going to 1 person, it's now going to 5, to the 3 customer service reps plus the customer service manager and the radio dispatcher, since they're all right there in that same general area.
After how many rings?
About that.
After how many rings does it go to the next person?
No, it rings at all 5 stations at the same time.
Oh, yeah?
Anybody can pick it up.
Anybody can pick it up.
So what happens like when
With
2
all
people?
5 of them picking up at the same
Yeah, what happens
time.
when 2 or 3 people simultaneously pick it up at the same time?
No,
They can't.
it allows for only one, whoever picks it up.
Oh,
The first one that picks it up, that's the one that gets it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I understand that.
alright.
I got this one, no, shut up, I got this one, you got the last one, no, I want this.
And the other one is questions that came up on negative balances on payroll. I submitted copies. We did some preliminary test runs of payroll, and we entered some information as far as sick leave or vacation. And if you enter sick leave and it goes into the negative, it will send up a warning and tell you that the leave balance negative, and ask if you wanna override or not. If you hit yes, then it'll continue.
Does the manager have to override it, or who does the override on it?
The person running payroll,
Well, now who has the authority to do that override?
that's what I'm getting to.
Okay, very good.
It still was the payroll person,
Okay.
okay? And it's always been there, and my understanding is, this has always existed, but the payroll person always had the information to override it, okay? And it's the same thing with vacation. If you enter it and it goes negative, it'll ask you and give you a warning. If you say yes, it'll continue. After you run, after you've done all your calculations, it'll payroll calculation is complete. It'll give you the warnings. In this case, the sample that we ran, it had 4 warnings and 2 errors. Then it'll list the warnings and errors. And if you still continue, it'll give you another preliminary calculation that has not been successfully completed. This date cannot be executed override. If they hit yes, then it will come back and please enter a password.
Do you think that that security level should be 1 up to avoid the past situation that we encountered?
It will be now with this.
Okay.
Password.
That's the password.
With the password. The password is, right now, I'm the only one that has it. I did give it to Belen because in case I'm not here, so there'll be at least 2 people that, there's 2 of us that will know the password. Nobody else will know that. And, we tested it and it worked.